Did it. We're back. What's up, Meg?
Hey.
Welcome, Yorktownians. The time of the recording, it's Mother's Day. So today, you might be listening, and maybe it's a month later, but maybe it's a day after. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you, Meg.
Thanks.
Happy Mother's Day to my mom, who's probably not listening to this. Should get her listening. I think she'd like it.
My mom probably would too.
Yeah, let's get a minute. We even talked about your dad last week. Now we're talking about your mom. Happy Mother's Day to Meg's mom as well, and all the moms listening. If you're a mom, we want to hear about it. Drop us a comment in the comments, and I will respond. Happy Mother's Day or something, probably smart aleck. This mom, though, not a great mom. Not even a good mom. A terrible, terrible mom. This is a story that is a bit fresh in the news, pretty local to where we are. And I had a couple of people that were like, you got to do something on it. You got to cover this. Meg's not sure about it, but we're going to do it. And it's going to be fun. And if you're watching this, we appreciate it. If you're listening, we appreciate it as well. We're live again from the Beard Laws mobile studio, and the Beard Laws studio home. It's not only the Your Town podcast, the Windbag Whispers, the Beard Laws podcast, which that name's probably going to change. Spoiler alert. The Triple T podcast, the Body Wrong podcast, Passball podcast, That One Story podcast. All of them. I'm crazy. Sorry about that, Meg. I love to podcast. It could be worse. But either way, this is the Your Town podcast, and we dive deep into dark and mysterious corners of true crime and just kind of stories from the past, the current, small town, big towns. This one, fairly close to home, but it could potentially have some ties really close to home. What we're going to talk about is a chilling story of the convicted murderer and arsonist Shirley Winters. And this is something that you've heard in the news recently, right, Meg?
Correct.
And it's wild. And why I'm kind of intrigued a little bit more and to tell you about this is I found some stuff that a lot of the news people up here haven't even covered. So, hey, news people, if you're uncovering this, you're listening to this, you're hearing this, I'd love to come on your show and talk about it. I've really done some deep diving in here. And Shirley Winters is a name that strikes fear and controversy in, again, a lot of central New York. Her release date is looming very, very soon. And they're even talking about how she's going to get out of prison and into a potential psychiatric center that is very, very close to home and a lot of listeners here. And as that release date looms a little closer, we might as well tell everybody, I guess, that the crimes and everything that she's committed, just kind of give a backstory on what she's got going on and how she landed there and why she's getting out, which is blowing a lot of people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. So stay tuned as we're going to navigate the twists and turns of this haunting tale and what it means to not only our community, but the communities of potential landing spots for this. And as always, the voice you're hearing right now, it's me. It's Matt. And my lovely co-host, as always, is...
I'm Meg.
It's Meg. Do you think we should jump right into this?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta do the intro, though, right?
Sure.
You think we should do it now?
Let's try it.
Ready, go. Pretty sure that one might have worked, but you might have heard it doubling back through the speakers. That's on me. Hey, better than nothing. So, background. Let's give a little background on Shirley Winters. She was born February 27th, 1958. She was actually born Shirley Barron. Probably not related to the Barron pizzas, which I really do enjoy a good Red Baron pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raised in South Onondaga, which we have done a story on the Onondaga Bridge. Go back a few episodes and check that one out. She's a 66-year-old upstate New York resident and convicted murderer and arsonist who has been in the Albion, I don't know, whatever it is, correctional facility for more than 17 years, with suspicious surrounding her as a potential serial killer. Her early life, as always, I feel like it's always a thing, is filled with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Lita, 4 years old, and Joyce, 10, were a couple of relatives of hers that are going to have some... you're going to hear about this here in just a second.
Peter, don't forget Peter.
And Peter. Oh, yeah, definitely Peter as well. 1966. Winters was just 8 years old. She actually lost those 3 siblings. And at the time, brother Peter was 11. The two sisters were 4 and 10. And it appeared that they passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning from an exhaust pipe that was damaged what they thought was by a dog at their family house. But apparently that night, Shirley tricked her sister Joyce into letting her go to Grandma's house instead. Joyce stayed home. Shirley went to Grandma's, which was only a quarter mile away. And then they passed away from carbon monoxide poisoning and damaging. A lot of hearsay, a lot of afterthoughts about that, but it's hard to say. Obviously, 8 years old. Hopefully, an 8-year-old wasn't thinking of that. But then, unfortunately, after the deaths of those siblings, she then reportedly, and these are reports that that we were able to uncover, she was saying to psychiatrists and other people and stuff that she was then assaulted, and it just just lots of abuse in that house after just a terrible, terrible thing. But a year before the deaths of her siblings, she actually had her first brush in with fire when she set her sister's dress on fire.
Sheesh.
Yeah, at 7 years old. Lit her sister's dress on fire. She became a violent kid, and she was often referred to as Squirrely Shirley because she would bite you, throw things at you, and dig her nails into you. Shirley Winters slipped in and out of the mental health system for over 30 years. She actually landed in the psychiatric ward 28 times with more than a dozen illnesses. While she was being diagnosed and released over and over since 1978, Winters became a rarity, both a serial killer and a serial arsonist. Her mental health record, more than 300 pages long, tells the story of a problem that the system just couldn't solve. That's wild, right?
That is. That's a lot.
I mean, 30 years in and out of psychiatric wards and a dozen illnesses. Unbelievable. So the records were actually obtained by the Post Standard, reveal a troubling history of mental health for old Shirley. Again, like we said, when she was first admitted to a mental health facility in California in 1978. And a lot of these records actually were, being released because of the court things and everything that happened that we're going to talk to here in a little bit, just kind of unraveled and opened up a lot of things for people like us to be able to get our hands on and information. So let's talk about a couple of the key incidents from her records. There was a bridge incident in 1990. Winters attempted to jump off a bridge in the St. Lawrence County after visiting the graves of her first two children. She indicated significant emotional turmoil. And in 1997, she informed a psychiatrist that when job hunting, she sought workplaces with quiet rooms where she could respond to her hallucinations without interference. 1999, she claimed to possess 9 alter personalities, though she later admitted this was a ploy to satisfy a prison psychotherapist. 2006, Winters claimed to hear baby voices, but upon turning around, she found nobody there. She also expressed fear of dying every year on the anniversary of her 3 siblings' accidental deaths in 1966. 2006, her therapist noted that Winters engaged in self-harm, such as banging her head against the wall and stabbing sharp objects into her legs. She also revealed that she often failed to take her prescription medications due to cost, unwanted side effects like weight gain, or simply she would just forget to do so. At least 7 times she was readmitted within 2 days after being released. She was self-medicating with alcohol and drugs and would often be readmitted when she got drunk or high. I mean, even if one of those, of those dozen things is true, I couldn't imagine. But, yikes.
It's rough.
Yeah. So again, all of the, psychological issues Winters face, including
Dissociative.
Dissociative disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenia, psychogenic, amnesia, and pyromania. The complex psychological profile underscores the challenges that she did face and might actually provide context for her criminal actions. So you got all that going on. Now that you have a little bit of a backstory on just some key incidents with the mental health, let's kind of jump into a little bit more of her her life, 1977. Shirley Barron, she was 18 at the time, marries Ronald Winters Jr., who was 21. That is how she became Shirley Winters, the name that we know today. Let's jump to 1980, and this is when things start to really jump in. We should probably, we probably start a lot of these episodes with like, hey, there are some sensitive things in here. Viewer discretion advised, or whatever they put in those fancy shows. Yeah. There's some details. If for whatever reason you are not an adult and you're listening now, feel free to turn this off. All right, 1980. Winters smothered her 5-month-old son, Ronald Winters III. Later in 2007, she drowned 23-month-old Ryan Rivers. Additionally, she is suspected of committing multiple other crimes, including the deaths of 3 siblings during her childhood. Yeah, unreal. And setting a fire that killed 2 of her other children in 1979, and then she set another fire that almost killed a daughter and allegedly killed her friend's 3 children the day before that. Death, death, death. And this woman is getting out of jail very soon.
It's scary.
Very. Let's jump right into the crimes. I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to talk into, just kind of hook you a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's get them there and be like, all this happened? How did this happen? Let's hear more. So here's the more. Shirley Winters, we've obviously talked about, with a deep, troubling past. Man, let's go right with that 80. With the 5-month-old son, Ronald Winters II, smothered him. She admitted to smothering her son in their Atisco home in 2008. And Ronald's death in 1980 was actually so in 2008 they reopened the case. Should go with that, like 2007, 2008. After she gets, the 2007 murder, they reopened some stuff. Find out that actually the death was from strangulation, but in 1980 when it actually occurred, it was known. They ruled it as SIDS, the sudden syndrome, the sudden infant death syndrome. Is what they thought it was. And obviously in 1980, the technology wasn't nearly as good as it is today. And then, as we mentioned, this was another conviction, the death of Ryan Rivers in 2007, but it was in November of 2006 when it happened. Ryan Rivers drowned in a bathtub at his grandparents' home while Winters was there visiting, and this was in Pierpont, New York, which is in St. Lawrence County. The murder caused investigators to take another look into the deaths of not only the one that we just talked about, but some other stuff with her kids. So there was this suspicion of killing 3 siblings during her childhood that we talked about earlier with the dog and the carbon monoxide. And again, it's unclear if it was an actual leak, if this was something that she did, but she was never convicted, but highly, highly suspicious that it could have been her with everything else going on. 1979, Winters set a fire in the family's cabin on Hyde Lake, which is in Teresa, New York, which is near Watertown, New York, home of the little trees, air fresheners. I think we even did a story on that too.
We might have.
And I think we even did a police chase at Watertown. Maybe go check that out. The cause of the fire at the times was said to be an electrical defect. 2 of Winters' children, Colleen and John, who were just 3 years old and 20 months old, passed away in the fire. But in March of 2007, an autopsy showed that both Colleen and John suffered blunt force head injuries prior to the fire. The fire was another tragic incident that further implicated Winters in violent and deadly behavior. But the day before this all went down, there was a fire at a nearby Herman, New York, which was her friend's house. And there was 3 children inside that house that all died. St. Lawrence County authorities also reopened their investigation into that incident in 2007. The 3 children were cousins of Ryan Rivers' parents. So we have all of the deaths are Shirley's own brothers and sisters, her kids, and her friends' kids. And it's, yeah. So the incident, obviously, with that, added another layer of suspicion and concern about Winters' potential role in these deaths. These criminal These crimes illustrate a pattern of violent behavior, particularly against children. The severity and the consistency of these acts highlight the gravity of Winters' criminal actions and the devastating impact that they had on families and communities.
It's awful.
Isn't it? Blunt force trauma. Then you just light the fire almost to
But
like...
how do they not notice that in the original investigation?
I don't know. I mean, 70s, 80s. I mean, we continue to do stories, and we are always asking, like, how? How do they not see this? How do they not do this? And I don't know the technology. What we'll need to do is Squeak. Squeak went to school and was actually a what's the people, not the coroner. They do the autopsies and stuff like that. That's what his degree was in. So we're going to ask him how it would possibly be possible back then compared to now. He must know. Let's ask him. We'll bring him in. All right, Squeak, if you're listening, shout out Squeak's Beard. We're going to bring in. We got some questions. But since the 1979 fire, Shirley Winters has been linked to 18 fires, 9 of which were determined to be arson. In 1981, she pleaded guilty to criminal mischief in connection with 2 of these fires. In 1997, Winters was convicted of arson for a fire that actually burned down her mother's home, resulting in an 8-year prison sentence. And she was released in 2005. 2 years before the 2007 incident. She just got out of jail. Tragically, her mother was killed in a car accident just 2 months before Winters began her prison term. Then there was a notable fire that occurred on November 12th, 1989 in a home where Winters was staying in Syracuse, New York with her 3 children. Although she managed to save her 4-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son, she momentarily apparently lost track of her oldest child, a 5-year-old daughter. Fortunately, her oldest daughter was able to rescue herself. The moment, though, has not been forgotten by her daughter, who fears of her being released from prison. The daughter said her mother ordered her to stay in the burning house. But she got out. 5 years old. But again, with the 18 fires in her homes or related places, 9 have been attributed to arson, but she has only been charged in 5 of them. She was actually convicted once and went to prison for 8 years that we just mentioned. But a week after Winters drowned Ryan Rivers in 2006, a police officer pulled her over in her pickup truck because she was swerving. Her shirt was torn. She had deep scratches on her wrist, neck, upper chest, and face. "The evil has to stop," she mumbled. "The evil's trying to get out." Winters told the police as she was pulled over. She said that she hadn't taken her medication for schizophrenia and that she was actually trying to get to a psychiatric hospital in Augsburg, but had gotten lost.
So, this Ryan Rivers, is that the son or the husband?
No, Ryan Rivers was the one that she drowned in the bathtub when she was visiting when Ryan Rivers was at her grandparents, his grandparents.
Okay.
Yep, that was the one that was in Pierpont, New York. Right before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
Gotcha. All right.
My bad.
It's good. No, that's good. That's good. So she gets pulled over. She was trying to get to Augsburg, and then she actually pleaded guilty to killing her son. Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick said Winters was the face of evil. Her ex-husband actually initially supported her through years of setting fires, but over the past 2 decades, he's seen the light and has been very wary of her. His mother said, "He's always slept with one eye open," the ex-husband.
Can you blame him?
Nope, sure can't. But let's talk quickly about the legal proceedings and kind of go over the trial and everything like that to kind of build on to this. She was actually indicted by a St. Lawrence County grand jury in August of 2007 of second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and endangering the welfare of a child in the Ryan Rivers case. Her trial for the second-degree murder of Ronald was initially scheduled to begin on March 31st, 2008. April 21st, 2008, Winters pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the Ryan Rivers case. Under the terms, though, there's a plea agreement. She also agreed to plead guilty in the Onondaga County Court to first-degree manslaughter in the smothering death of Ronald III in 1980. She was sentenced to approximately 20 years in the Rivers case and 25 years in the Ronald III case. The sentences are to be served concurrently, and she is eligible for parole after serving 17 years. She was incarcerated at the Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. If Winters had been convicted of second-degree murder on each indictment, she was facing multiple life sentences. But the St. Lawrence County plea allowed her to avoid prosecution for the 1979 death of Colleen and John Winters. Onondaga County District Attorney Williams Fitzpatrick, that we mentioned earlier, said Winters has served her maximum sentence because New York state law allows incarcerated individuals to earn good time credit, which allowed Winters to get a third of her top sentence reduced for behaving well. He also said that his office looked into civil confinement for Winters, but that she didn't meet the criteria. In order to be in a civil confinement, a person must have or be suspected of having a mental illness or be at risk of harming themselves or others. However, Winters completed a treatment program and was not deemed a danger to herself or others, her mental health providers told Fitzpatrick. Yeah. I mean, you would think that these people, if they are true serial killers with mental health issues and arsonists, they're going to know how to play the game.
And it sounds like she's already done it. It says in the past she faked certain things.
That's why I wanted to put as much detail to kind of add to this. And Fitzpatrick went on to say that we originally tried to see if there was a way we could have her civilly committed, and my law people tell me that just can't be done. I will insist that whatever she is, that anybody with a child, anybody who is not physically able to take care of themselves, elderly or young people, would be notified of her existence in their community because she lives to kill. Fitzpatrick said he hopes the parole board will issue Winters an ACO monitor, mandate weekly reports, and provide warnings to neighbors wherever she does decide to relocate, which is wild. But as we mentioned earlier, the daughter that did get out of the house, even though she was ordered to stay there, is named Joy, and she survived it, and she went on record, she went into the public and said there is absolutely no way a serial arsonist and serial child murder should be able to earn good time in prison because, of course, she's good in jail. It is her perfect environment. She has medicine, it's controlled, she has care, and her favorite victims are not present. Mm-hmm. She's going to be released into the public, and she's going to move in next to somebody. And from everything that I know about her, if you make her angry, she's coming after you. So if she doesn't like the way her neighbor looks at her, what's going to happen to their children on their home or their home? Because not only does she murder children, she burns down people's homes and businesses. Again, that's from her own daughter. Coming across as trustworthy and kind, Joy said her mother fits the same profile as other prolific serial killers who appeared normal. She never shows you who she truly is until she is standing outside of your house with a gas can or standing over the soaking wet body of your child. And by then, it's too late.
That's unnerving.
Very much so. Very much so. So, with that being said, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the disturbing and complex case of Shirley Winters. From early struggles with mental health to her terrible crimes spanning decades, her story is one of the darkest and just an absolute tragedy. The loss and pain she inflicted on innocent lives leaves an inedible. Yeah, it's not edible. Leaves a tough mark on the communities that were affected by her actions. So as we reflect on the case, we cannot overlook the questions it raises about the intersection of mental health and criminal behavior. How can we better support individuals struggling with severe mental health issues to prevent tragedies like these? What can be done to ensure justice while also considering the rehabilitation of offenders? Obviously, we mentioned earlier as well that her release is coming. It does raise concerns for many, but it also prompts us to consider how society can strike a balance between accountability and compassion. We must continue to monitor her, reintegration into society and assess the effectiveness of the legal and mental health systems in managing such complex cases. It's going to be interesting.
Do we know how soon the release is? Or is it not said yet?
I don't know exactly, because the last thing I said is it's still obviously up for debate. I feel like both lawyers are going to try to drag it on a little bit more. And then I believe there's a potential that she might land in that Augsburg Psychiatric Center that she was trying to get to allegedly on the night she was pulled over. So for at least a couple of months, then being released. And I think a lot of people in that Augsburg area were just a little bit nervous or scared that maybe once she gets released from there that she would just settle here.
Yeah.
I mean, there has obviously was some ties in the Pierpont area, which is still a little ways from there. Herman, a couple of other places, but who knows? Who knows where she'll end up? And hopefully with the technology and stuff like that, maybe the ankle monitor, maybe something else. But I guess we'll have to see. Source: shout out to cnycentral.com, localsyr.com, murderpedia.org, and as always, Wikipedia. I did forget a quote this one. So sorry about it.
Sleep with one eye open.
That's what I was just thinking in my brain. Ronald Winters III, the ex-husband. Sleep with one eye open. Or, you know what I mean? As I said, she's just pure evil. Just pure evil. So shout out, Meg. Appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day. We'll wrap this up so we can enjoy the rest of the day. Hopefully all the listeners, you guys enjoyed this as well. Live from the Beard Laws mobile studio. I love this vibe. Mm-hmm. I know you're not on camera, and everybody's probably going, why are you looking over there? That's where Meg's sitting over there. So the camera's here. She's here. I'm having a good time. We're sipping on a beverage. We're going to finish our drinks. Hope for the weather to continually there, and hope that everybody listening and watching has a great week. Can't thank you guys enough. This is the Your Town Podcast. We'll be back next week. Do you want to go?
Fingers crossed for some Northern Lights tonight.
Oh, yeah. At the time of this, Northern Lights. And if you're listening to this on Monday, the day of the release, isn't that the last day that we might be able to see them?
Mm-hmm.
So get up there, stay up late, check out the sky. And again, we can't thank you guys enough. We'll be back next week. Maybe some true crime. Maybe we'll find some other stuff. And this was fun. Appreciate you, Meg.
Peace out.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Gotta go. Later.